we should be at. Know that we overstand each other. And I need to be chasing the one when I already.
The Customs and Excise Department wishes to remind its importers of the import clearing requirements. Importers are required to present a copy of his or her government-issued ID. Not able to clear your goods? Not a problem. The Customs Department allows persons to clear on behalf of an importer. The importer will be required to send a letter addressed to the Controller of Customs, granting permission to the person to clear on their behalf, along with a copy of their ID. The person clearing on behalf of the importer will be required to also present a copy of their government-issued ID. Please also be reminded that the name on the import must match the name on the importer's ID. To avoid any delays or inconvenience, all importers are asked to adhere to these requirements. The Customs and Excise Department wishes to remind its importers of the import clearing requirements. Importers are required to present a copy of his or her government-issued ID. Not able to clear your goods? Not a problem. The Customs Department allows persons to clear on behalf of an importer. The importer will be required to send a letter addressed to the Controller of Customs, granting permission to the person to clear on their behalf, along with a copy of their ID. The person clearing on behalf of the importer will be required to also present a copy of their government-issued ID. Please also be reminded that the name on the import must match the name on the importer's ID. To avoid any delays or inconvenience, all importers are asked to adhere to these requirements.
I'm not sure.
Good morning, Mr. Cornelius, and good morning to your listening audience. We are back again today, and we are very pleased to be here to continue our program, Customs Corner, which we would have reintroduced yesterday.
Bring the mic closer to you.
To reiterate what we said yesterday, Customs Corner is a program with the intent to disseminate information as it pertains to customs-related issues and invite the questions from the public. We will be continuing yesterday's topic of the courier operations, and we invite the listening audience to call in with any concerns or questions that they may have on this topic. My name is Kishma Griffin, Customs Officer Grade 4 with the responsibility for communications and PRO, and we have three other officers which I will now allow to introduce themselves. Mr. Walters?
Hi, good morning, Mr. Cornelius, and good morning to our listening audience out there. My name is Reginald Walters, and I am the financial analyst at Customs and a member of senior management. I'm also responsible for the long room and post-clearance audit, which is responsible for the major part of Customs declaration processing and the collection of revenue. It's a pleasure to be here with you this morning, Mr. Cornelius, and it's a pleasure to be here to face the public and to serve them and to answer their questions in relation to the courier facility and the courier processes. Thank you.
Good morning. Keith Lee Hendrickson, Senior Assistant Controller, Head of Courier Department.
Hi, good morning. My name is Jovan Nisbet, Senior Customs Officer of Grade 4. Once again, thank you for having us. We are here to catch up exactly where we left off yesterday, and hopefully we have a lot of questions from the public. We missed out on that yesterday, so I'm really looking forward to that because we have a lot of concerns that we need to get to the meat of.
Okay, so yesterday before we left, a question would have come in just as we were wrapping up, and we did not get to address. The question reads, I submitted an invoice to my courier the same day I ordered my packages before they came to St. Kitts. I spent US $27, which was also reflected on my invoice. When they got here, I was told by my courier that customs valued the items for US $80. Even if customs researched for the items without an invoice, as was mentioned by the officer on the program, the goods could not have totaled $80. So, Mr. Nisbet, let's address this question.
Well, that's a very common situation. And I would start by saying I would like everybody to become familiar with the policies of your respective couriers, right? This was probably caused, I would assume based on the information here, it was caused by non-submission of an invoice at the time of submission to customs. Yes, you did submit an invoice to your courier operator, but that invoice may have been uploaded beyond the cutoff point, right, of submission to the customs, if you're following me. I like to break down things. So the submission time is Tuesday to customs for processing of that particular shipment, but you submit your manifest on Wednesday. Never mind, the flight is Thursday. Now you think you're safe because the flight coming on Thursday, but the cutoff point was Tuesday. So yes, you feel good, okay, well, I have submitted my invoice, but maybe you were just unaware of the cutoff point. So I would encourage everybody to just become aware of what the cutoff points are of your respective courier agents.
Okay. All right. So basically,
Thank you so much.
You're suggesting to the public that they would get in contact with their courier, their prospective courier agents, to find out when is the deadline for me to be able to upload my invoice to prevent something like this from occurring.
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay. Mr. Cornelius, do we have any callers? Because we are getting the emails and we are getting the calls at the Customs Department, but this is now the time for them to call in.
Yes,
while we are here.
We don't have any calls at the moment, but yes, the phone lines are indeed open, and we are welcoming your calls and questions.
Well, that's a good thing, because if we ain't getting no questions, we answering all of them right here, right now. So
We have a call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Okay, we seem to have lost that call. Caller, feel free to call back.
Okay. So, Mr. Nisbet, if you can just give a rundown of the workflow for the courier operations, maybe the public can become a little bit more aware of the processes and the procedures so that they can fall in line, so that they don't incur any delays with their shipments.
Well,
Okay, we have a call.
okay, let's take that call.
Good morning.
Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, caller.
Yeah. I have probably 3 questions. The first one, why my packages should be open not in the presence of me? And why I'm not getting back my invoices to see how each individual item is being tallied? Because sometimes I order multiple. Could be automotive parts, tools, medication, personal items like probably shoes, clothing. But I'm not comfortable with the first one. My items is open behind my back. And 2, I'm not getting back my invoice so I could walk out in the future if it worth the while ordering the item based on how I've been charged for it. I listen off here. Thanks.
Thank you for your question, caller. Mr. Nisbet, you're going to attack this.
Okay. The first question, straight
Why,
at the top.
why is packages are being opened
Why
without
are
his
the
presence?
packages being open in the absence of that importer? Now, when you sign up for a courier, right, you may need to take a look at your contract and whatever stipulations within. Now, your courier agent is responsible or assumes the responsibility of the importer, right? So they are responsible for any concerns that you may have beyond the importation.
Okay, and his second question is why can't he get back an invoice to see how his taxes are assessed? So I'm thinking he means an assessment. The assessment of yeah.
Yeah, so a breakdown of your taxes. Once again, a breakdown is given to each courier upon assessment of your goods, right? An assessment is given with a complete breakdown to your courier agent. It is therefore your courier's responsibility to give you that breakdown. One person may do it, another person may not do it, whatever the case is, right? I've seen invoices or receipts, because I am also a customer, where there are breakdowns. There's a breakdown where someone else might not do it, right? So the onus is actually on the agent. If I want a breakdown from whosoever is representing me at the customs, right? I will go to my courier agent and I will request a breakdown upon my receipt, because they are collecting on behalf of me.
Okay.
Okay.
And he would have also said that he wanted to.
Addition.
Oh, okay, Mr. Hendrickson.
In addition to that, now remember the caller.
We have
saying,
a call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning. Me again. Sorry to be so sharp and furious on you.
Yeah.
What I'm asking you and what you're trying to explain, I went through the length and breadth, and the gentleman, well, in the first instance, my courier operator, I used to get my stuff at the customs. Then things change, and my shipping agent is now operating, so I don't have to come to the custom anymore, which is quite convenient. But the inconvenience is, like you say, they didn't, notify me, whether by word or writing, that this will be the procedures in the future, that, as you say, they would be responsible and representing me in that manner. The other thing, when I argue to see, not really to get it back, just to see the invoice, he told me the customs gone with them. So I didn't, even if I didn't get the chance to, take it to my resident to review it. Just let me have a brief view at it when I went to pay to collect my shipment. Just let me see what it looked like. He said the customs gone with them. So I don't know how to fight this case. Thank you.
I don't think this is a courier. I don't think it's by means of a courier.
Agent.
No, it
It's
doesn't.
an agent matter.
Yeah, that's an agent matter directly.
Yeah. If you have a problem, you can also request that you come to the customs and request
A breakdown.
a breakdown, or you want the invoice, we could provide it for you via copying.
And also, caller, we have on our website, www.skncustoms.com, we have what we call the duty calculator, where you can actually go on, put in your information, and get a idea of what kind of taxes you would incur upon importation. So once again, it's www.skncustoms.com, and if you scroll down, you'll see the little calculator there. You click on it, and it is really easy to follow, and it gives you the taxes that you would incur. All right, so I hope that would help.
It's an excellent tool, right? I mean, I would want to know what taxes I will incur before I order my goods. So when I get my bill at whatever courier, right, I can be on point. And if there are any discrepancies, right, I mean, I could work it out with my courier right there and then, right? So I would encourage everybody once again to get to our site, www.skncustoms.com, and familiarize yourself with that duty calculator,
Okay, so I have a question. We often hear this cry where whenever people go to the customs to pick up a package, they say, well, I'm charged twice and 3 times and 4 times for the item. What do you have to say about that? Because you have people who would buy something for, let's say, 50 US online, and then when it comes, they pay that 50 US in some cases more than twice, more than 2 times.
That is, Mr. Cornelius, that is so not true.
Uh-huh.
We do not charge 3 and 4 times. No, we do not do that. We
So
follow.
so people. Well, I get the impression that people usually exaggerate and say the customs overcharge them.
It's probably an exaggeration. And what they also need to bear in mind, there are other charges on that receipt. That includes shipping and insurance from your freight company. And they normally see, they do not look at the individual listing of the breakdowns, and they just see the total and say, customs kill me again. But we want you to take a look at your invoices, and if you have any discrepancy, if you have any concerns, feel free to reach out to us.
I think the issue is
For
that
your agents.
people, they probably just look at the invoice and see a charge and they say it's all from customs.
Right.
But that is not the case. So there's a
Correct.
breakdown for freight and the courier and all of that.
Correct, and especially if you have a very heavy shipment, right? So you might have something that only has a $50 value, but then you might have something that is 60 pounds, right? So you have to take that into consideration. All of it is not customs related.
Okay, so the phone lines are still open. We are still taking calls. There are no calls at the moment. So we are going to continue this discussion. Mr. Walters, you've been a bit quiet for the
Hi,
morning.
good morning. I'm just listening in.
Is there anything that you would like to add?
I think the officers are doing well answering the question, and we know that the public will always have questions about how the taxes. People pay taxes, and it's in their right to question anything. So I would just like to reiterate what Mr. Hendrickson said. If you go to your agent and you feel like you're not getting the satisfaction in terms of your taxes, the customs legislation speaks to recourse, challenge any tax that you ought to pay. So if you go there and you does not get any recourse, you can always contact the customs organization, whether by our inquiry point or you can come to the department, and I'm sure we'll be glad to explain to you and to walk you through the process, how the taxes are applied. We have a CET, which is a customs common external tariff that we use to guide us. It has in the description of the goods and the rates. And so officers are trained in using that. Now, we are humans and we may not apply it correctly all the time. So, yes, it is important for our customers to come and ask about the taxes, and it's our obligation to explain to them what taxes they pay, what rates, and so forth. And it can get real technical when you import a number of items and you declare them, and then trying to get as accurate as you can, you have to separate them and so forth and apply the tariff. So
Thank you.
It's a question we welcome. Thanks.
And also in addition, we are supposed to make sure that when you leave the customs, you are satisfied and not displeased.
Yes, yes.
Mr. Cornelius, the caller before, he would have mentioned that he could not get a copy of his invoice. We want to let him know that it's your invoice and you can have a copy of your invoice. You just need to reach out to your agent and ask the agent to get it. Okay? So he can get a copy of his invoice. I hope he's still listening so he knows his rights.
Yeah, and I would like to add to that. How we receive invoices to this date, it's a copy, right? The original, if given to the courier agent, is not given to the customs. They are all submitted digitally for the most part. So unless we request a physical copy, they are sent digitally. So we would not receive at any point, unless we particularly requested it, your invoice, your original invoice.
Thank you so much. As there are no more calls at this moment, we are still going to continue the discussion, and you can feel free to add anything else that you probably would have missed out in the beginning. So we are going to continue this discussion as we await some final calls for today.
Okay, so I did ask Mr. Nisbet, being the operations officer, to give a general idea of the workflow for the courier, and he was about to go into it before we got the call. So, Mr. Nisbet?
Okay, the workflow as it pertains to all couriers.
We actually have a call. Just stick a pin.
Yeah, man, send them through.
Yeah, me again. So what I'm understanding from you, legally, I supposed to get my invoice with the custom tally on top of it? Hello?
Say that again?
What I'm listening to you and trying to understand, legally, I supposed to get my invoice with the custom tally on top of it?
No, it's supposed to be, you will get the information on a receipt. If you want to request the invoice, then you can. But the receipt that you receive will break down.
No. Listen to me carefully and let me try to see if I understand you. No, the receipt with the amount that I paid, I got that. But based on the items that I ordered and having an idea of the tariff, I was requesting to see the invoice and each individual item, how is it tally to arrive at the amount which I was charged. But he refused to let me see the invoice with the tally and said that the customs went with the invoice. And then what I understand, I don't know if it's true, to come to the custom to investigate of the incident or to see how I'm being charged, I will have to pay a fee to get that done.
No, that's not true.
So in doing that, I realized, well, to argue for 5 cents, to pay 25 cents, and the time involved, I just leave it alone. But now that you is there, and I understand what you're talking about, so let me ask the question so I could better educate myself for the future. Thank you.
Okay, I think the best way to address that call would be to pick up where we were before the call, right? Allow me to explain the workflow, right? Your process, your import process. Okay, it starts by the physical goods arriving. Well, it actually starts before the goods arrive. Your agent compiles a list of all the imports that they are expecting. That list is submitted to the customs at least no less than 2 hours before the arrival of whether it's a flight or a ship. All right? That list is sent to a risk assessment, and the goods are then put into particular categories as we see fit, well, based on our risk assessment. The goods arrive on a given day, and the list would have been prepared. And based on the assessment, the goods would be charged according to the criteria that were assigned to them based on that assessment. Now, within those criteria, we have an invoice criteria. Now, the invoice criteria consists of all those goods that invoice was not submitted for upon submission of that list to customs. Right? So, we check the goods that didn't have an invoice. The ones that did have an invoice, they are assessed accordingly and charged. Now, as it pertains to that call, let's say you are on the list of goods that did have an invoice. You had an invoice and your goods are now sent to your courier and ready to be priced. Your goods are charged on a list. say it's 500 pieces on that list. We bill the courier for that or those 500 pieces, right? And the breakdown is given to the courier on that list, right? The couriers now add their freight, insurance, and they give you a bill, right? So that is why I'm trying to understand at what point exactly you were referring to, because the receipt or invoice that I am trying to get to, the invoice that you would have received would have been the courier receipt, right? And that courier receipt would have given you the customs taxes, whether in a breakdown or a single figure, right? So at no point would that have been the customs invoice. It would have been the courier invoice, right? Now, if there were some inconsistencies on your part, or you felt that customs charged you incorrectly, right? You have to go through a process. You take that complaint to your courier agent, and we will try to assess the situation, because every situation is different, if you're following me. Right? So I hope that gives you a different perspective, and you could, if not, call back in, because we're trying to, like I said, we're trying to get to the bottom of everything today.
Mr. Cornelius,
Well,
just to add, you have another caller?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
We have no more calls.
Okay, so just to add to what the caller would have said, no, the process is you go through your agent first. But if you went through your agent and you've exhausted that avenue, you can always contact us. The Customs Department has a communication officer with responsibility for PRO, which will be myself. So you can always call us at 4667227 and ask to speak to Kishma Griffin. And let me see if I can assist you.
We actually have a call.
Okay, all right.
Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, me again. Listen, what I'm basically saying, right, is a two-tier system, as you just mentioned. I pay for the shipment, which is the movement to get them here. Then there is another receipt with the custom charges. So where I'm being denied is because before the stuff come here, I deposit the invoices so they could make the contact with their warehouse in the States to have these things assessed, to prepare them, to put them on the shipment. So as you mentioned about the cutoff date, I submit my invoices way before the cutoff date so they could have them assessed and get them prepared for the shipment. So they have them sometime a week or more in advance before the shipment date. Then I will ask, everything is there? They say yes, there is assessed and there's on the shipment for next week. Because I know most of the stuff they move probably Wednesday. So by Tuesday, Wednesday, we're in preparation to have them on the boat. Because I do the tracking, so I know, and I will say, well, look for this for me, look for that for me. This one coming in late, and get it sorted out. Okay. What I'm saying now, the part in the customs, the courier service, I pay for the shipment. The charges from the custom, because they will have the invoices to present to the customs when they're going to assess them. That section now, I cannot get to see, because most of the time I had multiple stuff of different tariff. The section now for me to see how there was tallied, for me to have an idea, well, okay, it wouldn't make no sense bringing that here when I could buy it here, because this is what they charge me and this is what shipping. So it doesn't work well buying it out there to bring it here. That is the part I am being denied of see, not himself, just to see it, just to peep on it. I've been denied. Just to peep on it. He said, oh, the customs gone with it. Now you say that the custom does not take back the invoices too, because everything is done electronically, so they don't have to take the document as paper back to them. I listen off you.
Okay, thank you, caller, for your question.
Okay, caller, thank you so much for calling back in. I'm going to ask you to please give us a call at 466-7227. Ask for Kishma Griffin, and I will be more than happy to help you iron out this issue. Okay? So the number again is 466-7227. Give us a call, and I will do my best to assist.
We are out of time, so we're going to begin wrapping up.
Yeah. You ready?
Okay, so we're now at the end of our program, and we want to thank the caller for calling in, and we want to thank those who would have listened and tuned in. We hope we were able to address most of the concerns that you have out there, and we will be back next week Thursday. On Monday, we will give Win FM a heads up on what we would be featuring next week, so that you can prepare your minds and get your questions ready for us. Once again, we just want to say thank you for tuning in again. Anything from any of you guys?
Well, I would like to say thanks for having me. I would like to thank the caller also for those questions. And also, from my gathering is that the person who told you that custom go on with it or whatever, the best thing to do is check with the customs, and you have Mr. Jovin Lisbeth and Keatley Hendrickson that you can call so you can get things done right away. Thanks again for listening. Thanks again for having me.
I'd just like to say thank you to Mr. Cornelius for hosting us, and to the listening audience for calling in and letting us know what your issues are. We are happy that you're calling, and so we can go back to the drawing board and make whatever adjustments we need to know. Again, you're our customer, and I think it's in our interest to make sure that you are satisfied once you're charged taxes. And I'm happy that the person called in and we were able to attempt to answer his question. But even more important, that he can come to the customs and seek recourse with Miss Griffin, and we're glad to look into the matter to make sure that you're charged correctly and you're charged fairly so. Thank you again to the listening audience and everyone.
Well, I just want to say I'm confident that we got the word out, we got the information out, because we only had so many calls today, right? So I just want to say, same as yesterday, this is the season that everybody wants their packages. And if you're importing through the courier agents, please submit your invoices in a timely manner. Please reach out to your respective courier agents and make sure you familiarize yourself with their cutoff times and their policies, so again you can get your gifts and present safely and timely under your Christmas tree.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nisbet, and thank you guys so much for being a part of this program today. This was another edition of Customs Corner with the St. Kitts St. Nevis Customs and Excise Department. Until next time.